Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Hello. I feel like shit today. I'm not gonna lie. It was so fucking windy last night. And I don't think I actually... And my wife is out of town on a... she's a flight attendant, so this week she wasn't able to get out of it. She had to do an overnight. Anyways... So I don't think I fell asleep until, well after midnight. I could be wrong, but man, it just did not, I had a hard time going to sleep. And yesterday was pretty crappy. Well, I'll say. So, yeah. And it is also Friday, and it has been a wild week, but there's been some decent overnight action. So it kind of looks like to me that they're not quite done. That there could be some move. There is a Fed monetary policy report today and many Fed members speaking that could decrease volatility. Overnight action was relatively high, so that could increase volatility. The E-mini fell pretty significantly, and now we've had a pretty significant move back up. And when I look out here over the headlines, I don't see I'm just checking here, but I don't really see anything like super huge to be driving the markets. That don't seem right. It looks like yesterday they had a really short day. Guess that was because of the futures closing. Anyways, so here you can see the E-mini moved back up. But then in ZN moved back up as well. So I don't really understand what's going on. And how come my chart's not... I'm going to restart Jigsaw here. Okay, well, let's grab links.
More
NetX. There we go. See, I'm still getting this this thing. What's the market analyzer doing? Guys, that's not what's supposed to be happening. Okay, I'm going to restart Ninja Trader. That's better. That's much better. Okay. Close this. Don't need this. Don't need this. Twitter's trying to get me to, I don't know, do stuff, I guess. Bum bum bum. Oh, good. New version of Tractor is out. I would like to update that. Okay. And we'll bring up our Chrome tab here. Strong move up on no reason really here. And they're pushing highs and they're blowing through some levels. and it's like right here on the open. Is now less than 850 hours to Brexit. Am I seeing those currencies move? I am seeing a huge move up in the JPY and in the euro and in the British pound. Hmm. Okay, well, I think that's just about the only thing that I can do, but I'm gonna have to keep it. I don't know. I'm gonna try really hard today because I feel like shit. And it's always a good experiment to see how well we can do when we're not feeling well. Would very much prefer, though, if we could get ZB to come back to, say, 02. Yeah.
Block by.
Okay. Okay. So the guys in the energy room are asking me to split it up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create the channel. Nat gas. I'll move it up here. And I'm going to rename this channel to crude. Save changes. Okay. Okay. Checking out the YouTube with Uzi buying high. Keep that bad boy tight. Yeah, well, I don't know. It doesn't look like I'm gonna get filled. And now I'm seeing a huge iceberg. No thanks. No thanks. You know, yesterday it went straight down to the iceberg and then it like died after that, didn't it? Came back up a little bit even. So seeing a 10K iceberg off of action like that, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that was a big move in the dollar, guys. What's with that? Does that have something to do with China deal? China and US so close to a deal, but might just be a framework agreement. Uh, that's the only thing that I really see. EU's maelstrom. The EU has a strong will for positive agenda with the US. Yep, Forex Live noting a big drop in the Japanese yen, basically. That seems to be what's really driving it. Okay, so they're still doing crazy. I don't want to buy that price, but I don't want to sell it. I don't think that I want to go short today. I felt like yesterday's move down made 0 sense. Coming back here to 01, really, where was it? It was really more like, even. Even we should be above even. That's what I felt. I felt like we should be above even, and then I thought maybe we could even go up to like 08 or whatever. Now that would be a really big move for a Friday, wouldn't it? So that's maybe a little bit crazy. Bostic is speaking apparently. Canadian retail sales month over month a negative spot 1% versus a spot 0 expected, the previous being negative 0.9. Retail sales minus autos month over month negative spot 5% versus a negative spot 5%, so in line with expectations. Previous was revived from negative 0.6 to a negative 0.7. So I would say overall, a little negative on the retail sales there for the Canadians, but not super significant news. Not a piece of news that typically drives things a ton. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah, so we split out. Oh, there you go. They went bid at 01. I'm not gonna wait. Anyways, the natural gas prices are driven very much by what the weather is, because their demand for natural gas is driven by how cold it is. Whereas crude oil is driven by completely different factors. And so the traders over there wanted me to split up the rooms, and so we did. And but I find the whole thing interesting. Don't they have like like heating and cooling features? Why would you trade those instead of natural gas if that's what you wanted to do? Hmm. Hmm. I wonder if I change my chart here in the Japanese yen to like say, let's just say a 5 minute chart. You know what? I think that makes a lot more sense than a chart based off of ticks. Then I can see that they're making a sharp move. Need to change a few things over here though, because the candle body outline I don't need. Transparent. Okay. Much better. They're hitting 02. Well, I wanted to buy it. What was it? 05. Never would have gotten filled. Never would have gotten filled. Okay, that one's good. That one's good. And I think that this one should be fine too. Yeah, that one looks like it's already fixed. Okay. Now I can see that the 6-day is indeed making a very fast and aggressive move up. Okay, so here at 015 there are a decent amount of sellers and they're just getting absorbed. I'm telling you what, guys, I have a problem. And I'm not sure a problem with my head. And I'm not sure the right way to handle this, because when I see something that doesn't fit, that seems wrong to me, I just can't handle it. It makes me I can't stand it. It doesn't matter if it's just something in trading, but you know, you can see it. Like yesterday, I said we should move up, and we didn't. We moved down, and I thought that it didn't make sense, and I just could not let go of that what I saw happening was wrong. I mean, maybe that's a good attribute for a trader for sure, but you got to be flexible too, right? Now we got this thing going up, moving up. You can't catch it. You can't catch us. I guess you could take it long at 0.5. Do you really want to take it long at 0.5 in the middle of the zipper? I don't know. Especially when you're getting this kind of crazy absorption up here. I think I would rather watch it come back and do a 4-tick pullback or whatever, and see the Japanese yen pull back. Man. So really all I can do is just kind of sit here and watch it. I do see the level 2 flipping around a little bit. Craft crashes to record low after barrage of bad news. And apparently a couple of people are gloating over Warren Buffett losing a lot of money from it. See, so there was 5K absorbed at 01. There was 10 to 12K absorbed at 0.5. There was 7K absorbed at 02. Crazy. And again, because this is a move being driven by currencies, it could just keep going. NAD dollar. Now the E-mini is starting to look weak. Reports EU said ready to target Caterpillar Xerox if Trump hits autos. EU draft tit for tat tariff list said to target Samsonite as well. Okay.
Block sell.
Block sell at 020, but the E-mini is moving down. So Uzi took something out 12 on 5 contracts. I was looking for 16. But she caught it. Did you buy the high when I came in? Is that what happened? Is you just marketed into it instead of trying to be clever like myself and little knee rattler marketing into the high. Yeah. But if you know that there's a high probability that it's going to move higher, you can do it totally, right? It's like you want to obviously you always want to try and get the best risk reward, and if you're not willing to buy the high, then sometimes you'll miss some of the best moves. But when you're going to buy the high, you need to see something that says that there is a very, very good chance that it's going to continue through. So that means you need to see pressure, which we certainly saw, and you need to see that we're not quite to the key levels that they appeared to be trying to reach to say that there might be more in this. And when you do take that one, you kind of got to give it a short leash. So what you just saw there at 12, and Uzi took it off, I think that was the right way to play it. I think you did the right thing. It looked great. It still kind of does, but I don't want to sit through the pullback. Yeah, exactly. I think, what we just saw there was a pullback. With that Japanese yen is just skyrocketing out of there. This is where it would be really useful to have the dollar index, but ain't nobody want to pay for that. That's a lot of money just for data. It's not just Japanese yen, the other currencies are moving too. And the futures were going very much long going into it too. Now, we should also keep in mind though that since the overnight action, yeah, we moved down and now we're having a strong move back up, and treasuries are reacting to this, but they didn't really react to the strong move down in the currencies. Yeah. Alligators pointing out that that tweet about tariffs and so forth appears to be nothing new. Hmm. Okay. They're still pushing them highs. You get a trend day on a Friday, sometimes it just runs everything over. Sometimes you just can't stop it. Hmm. Okay, there was a tick down. They are still indicating a range here. Gonna go make a sandwich. Democrat lawmaker Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat and should run as an independent. Yes, that's brilliant. Let Bernie Sanders run as an independent. What an idiot. Why would you say that? What? Someone's gonna give him a talking to. Huh? That would be like the worst thing that could possibly happen for Democrats. Is if Bernie Sanders ran as an independent. Good grief. But they're right, he's not really a Democrat. I mean, he doesn't caucus with the Democrats. Bostic says monetary policy is on the end of an entire arc. What does that mean? That mean that we're like at the end of the cycle, and it's time to buy treasuries? That's I don't like that one either. I don't like that one either. The Fed has tried to pull back and not be as stimulative, says Fed's Bostic. My trap's still kind of giving me issues today. Right there. Just needs to calm down. Well, I'm glad that I took it a little bit easier yesterday on some of the things like squats and stuff. That is just such an aggressive move. And look, they're eating into O2 half. I mean, I could have bought at the price that I had stuck stuff in at. For sure. Fed's Postic's policy direction 12 to 18 months out is not as clear as in the past. Ah. And it goes bid at 025 and a really aggressive bid still. And the 5-year really going nutso here. Oof. O4 is a significant level of resistance. It's painful to not be a part of. But you know, as soon as I buy it, they're gonna flip it on us. You know what's gonna happen. And now 4K, 5K, traded at 03. If you notice, the cumulative delta in the 10-year is flat through the whole second half of this move. They have been absorbing and selling through it the whole time. What a monster move. I'm sitting here. Maybe you could buy O3. ZB Delta is selling the whole way, right? But this is just what I'm saying is like when it's a currency move. It seems to me that when it's a currency move, that the people that are making it move are so big that nothing else matters. Anything that you're seeing in cumulative delta, swing high, swing low, pivots, key levels from the previous day, correlations with other instruments, it's like none of it fucking matters. It's just gonna go that way until they've got the price that they want. And I am not informed enough. I do not have the information to know where it's gonna stop. There, they broke through the iceberg at 03. And look, they're selling into it. There's a lot of selling into it, and it continues to hold and move up. Like, I don't think that order will even fill. Okay, well, the orders did kind of slowly trickle in and push us down at 03 and filled me. Hmm. And hitting 025 as soon as you get in. So classic. So classic. That was a turn in the JPY though. Let's see what it does here. Does a decent amount absorbing at 025. In fact, I'm trying hard, but I'm reversing here. So when I feel like I'm reversing, I start to wonder if I'm getting a little too impulsive. I think that this one is okay, but if this one doesn't work out and I want to flip around again, then I'm just going to sit on my hands for a little bit. You don't want to make too many. And I think that this one could maybe go to here. Like, that's all I'm looking for. Ex Barclay Traders gets 1 million as bank won't give him a job. What? Well, that don't make much sense. Okay, sure. And that's a pretty menacing looking bid at 02. The cumulative delta in the Japanese yen is starting to go short now. See some people trickling in. Berkshire earnings estimate cut in half because of Kraft mess as investors await Buffett letter. Ooh. This sounds super traumatic in the Kraft world. So the thing here is that they are holding they are holding almost 3,000 at O2 half on the offer, but hardly anything is sold into O2. And they haven't pulled at O2. It's looking really thick in ZF. So there was a little bit of a flip and some selling into O2, but in the end, it only ended up being 334 contracts. It's Bostic. Global trade is a clouding factor for monetary policy. Barclays lowers U.S. Q4 GDP forecast to 2.5 from 3%, cites incoming data that has modestly underperformed our expectation. I don't know, half of a percentage point in GDP is modestly underperforming. That's Okay, so it goes offer there. And my little stop order triggers in. T's should retrace a bit. Res ahead and big absorption. Hard to tell how much. Not much, in my opinion. Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda says Bank of Japan will mull additional easing if economy loses momentum towards hitting price goal. Okay. That's I want that one. Okay, that one got filled. How will this play with the US and its currency declarations in ongoing trade negotiations? Basically saying, they're basically pointing out that this could be considered currency manipulation. not necessarily currency manipulation, but they're being more dovish than is justified by the economic data. And then your currency is cheaper compared to other countries, and oof, that delta change in the yen is pretty wild. The way that the Japanese yen is selling on this pullback is quite unnerving to me. That kind of cumulative delta, that kind of cumulative delta move in almost any other instrument would have me very concerned about a full-on reversal and having the whole thing retrace. But currencies don't behave that way. The cumulative delta in currencies is interesting to watch, but it's not behaved the same way because the currencies are driven very much more by large players and banks, and it's just kind of small traders and people hedging that are trading elsewhere on the CME that are trading those particular instruments. So the cumulative delta in there is kind of different. But basically that means to me that most of the traders that got in long as the 6J was moving up are now taking their profits. Sorry, when I move my head, it makes the volume anyways. U.S. House Democrats introduce measures to revoke Trump emergency, says AP. So here again, they're holding a decent offer at 02, but hardly anything is into 1/2. Things look really thick in the 5-year as well. I love how my 16 target in ZB was kissed by one less contract than I was holding long. So you wouldn't have gotten filled at 16, would we? Probably not. Unless you were like at the beginning of the queue, right? Because only 4 went in. Yeah. He had 5 contracts, and only 4 went in. You're swinging big right now, man. Doing it in the ZB. But you take smaller targets, so I guess that totally makes sense, but still. Bravo. Okay, so look like it got thickened up both sides in the 10-year. Oh, they're selling it in ZV at 12. Yeah, he's like, nope. Well, yeah, no way you would have gotten. I mean, there was probably 1,000 ahead of you too. So then you have to start. Then you start thinking through, like, okay, so if I had still been long there, would I have had the foresight to have just gotten out at 14 or 15? Gartman, given simply that the markets have run a very, very long way since late December, we will absolutely not be adding to long positions at this point. Uh-oh, better go long. Everybody knows that you fade Gartman. When he's talking about it, at least. He may be a profitable trader, I don't know. Haven't looked at that recently. But it sure seems like when he starts talking about something, and it does not go the way that he's talking. See, you're getting like a slow trickle of sellers into the 10-year. It's really funny how they just take it in like these big steps, you know? I guess it's because the currency is the driver. If I had held it to 16, I would have held at 15 or 14 at the worst. Okay. Not even willing to let it come back one tick on you, huh? Gotcha. Okay. So they took it. I am going to take off one contract here. Donald Trump. Highly respected Senator Richard Burr, head of Senate Intelligence, said after interviewing over 200 witnesses and studying over 2 million pages of documents, we have found no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. The witch hunt, so bad for our country, must end. Some of these tweets he makes. I was like, didn't you see that last week? I guess that's no reason that he shouldn't be talking about it now, but still. I want something exciting to happen, guys. I want him to see something exciting. Huh? Say something like super good. Say something like, oh, this trade deal thing with China, it's going so well. We're going to have a really good deal and everybody's going to be really happy. And the economy is already doing pretty okay. And it's just going to be amazing when this deal is passed. And everybody's going to buy the e-mini and all of the treasuries are going to sell. It would be great. That's what I want you to do, Donald. Why can't you just cut me a break here? No, instead you have to talk about collusion that I think everybody has gotten bored with, honestly. Like, have you noticed? So one of the biggest stories this week, and when I say biggest, I mean in terms of like impact in actual news, okay? One of the biggest stories this week, the Mueller probe might end next week. The Department of Justice is signaling that it might be over. So this thing that's been going on now for like, what, 2 years? Right? More than 2 years, really. But maybe it's finally going to be over. And you know what? Nobody really cared. I mean, I saw stories about it, but people weren't really talking about it. It seems to me like everybody has already come to the conclusion that nothing is really going to come from it. It's like they've wasted so much ammo pushing this for so long that the public is like just sick of it and has decided that nothing's going to happen. And I don't know if that means that they've decided that there's nothing to the collusion thing, just that they've decided nothing's going to happen. And what will he have to tweet about if he doesn't have the Russia investigation anymore? You know what I mean? It's just not as fun. It's just not as fun, guys. Buying the Higher Pro, I'm just naturally inclined to keep it as tight as possible. I'm kind of surprised I even did it. Really? Okay, well, that kind of makes me think that that's not going to get filled. Okay. Cool. 31. I've never considered myself a rabid Trump supporter, but I'm starting to think that nothing this guy could do would win over the establishment. Seriously, this guy could praise oxygen and get 80 million people to stop breathing. I've heard people make that comparison before. Yeah. Well, I think so. I have a theory. You ready to hear my theory? Donald Trump has ADHD. Almost certainly. I think that he has ADHD. One, because I've always been told, because I have ADHD, and I've always been told that Donald Trump is one of those famous celebrity successful people that also has ADHD, that shows that even if you have ADHD, you can still be successful. Like when you go to the ADHD clinic, it's like they're on the wall list of celebrities, okay? But also because when I look at the way that he thinks, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me when the decisions he makes and when he does them and why and things like this. And so something I've learned about ADHD is that how do I put this? Okay. ADHD tends to make you an extremely independent thinker because your brain simply does not process information the same way that other people do. And so you have an inability to filter everything out and look at specifics like a lot of people do. You just see the whole thing. Sometimes that's an advantage and sometimes that's a disadvantage. And so it's not uncommon for somebody with ADHD look at something and say, "Oh, okay, but what about this? Oh, no, wait, that wouldn't make sense." And people say, "Oh, in their heads they're like, well, why is this guy even considering that possibility? That's stupid. This guy must not be too bright because he's not able to quickly dismiss that possibility like I have." Right? But every once in a while, the ADHD person will see something that the other people just simply can't see because their brain never takes it to that conclusion. They're never able to go and look at the whole picture and say, "Oh, okay, but wait, what about this?" Right? So that's where I think that Donald Trump has been able to use it to his advantage. So many times he sees something like a statistic or the way that people are talking about something that says to him, "Hey, people in America, there's a really there was a group of people in America that really want a wall, and they've really wanted a wall for a long time. And if I can win the Republican primaries just on that," right? And nobody else sees that. It's like contrary to the common wisdom. And he'll go in and he'll take advantage of it. Not only will he go in and take advantage of it, but he's just so, all in about it, which also is very much an ADHD trait in my experience. Almost reckless, I would, almost feels reckless, Right. So that seems to be him. But the thing is that they've done a lot of studies and they found that people with ADHD, like when you do kids, that like within 5 minutes, in fact, people tend to reject somebody. Like kids will tend to reject a peer with ADHD. Like they can detect the difference in the thinking that quickly, and that's just the way that people are, is when they see something that in their mind is not the commonly accepted wisdom or whatever, they just out of hand immediately reject it. Right? I mean, for real, objectively, well, he's a big goofball. He's not exactly a terrible president. Sure. That might be, I don't know. I think that Donald Trump is a pretty good president, largely because he's a Republican and he has been willing to do the things that past Republican presidents were afraid to do. It might not necessarily be because he's brilliant or a great strategist or has some idea that nobody else does. Number of times that patients appeared in FOMC minutes. A lot in the January 19th one. That's funny. Anyways, so kind of what I see when I look at Donald Trump is I think that there is a group of people that are going to reject Donald Trump based on personality, based on things that they can't even put a finger on because he's ADHD and not because of his policies or anything else like that. And on the other hand, there's a lot of people that are going to react positively to it for no other reason. I found, before I really decided to get sick and tired of the emotional swinginess of it and started taking medication again. But when I was dating, it was really easy for me to get a second date. When I was off the medication, it was like every date resulted in a second date. Like literally every single one. And then afterwards, after I took the medication, I don't know, I just got boring. I kind of feel like medication makes you much more focused and much less in touch with your emotions. And to some people that might come off as being like a jerk or overly aggressive or something like that, you know? It's not that I ever had problems with it, but it was just like I didn't even want to ask them out on second dates. It's like I didn't even care anymore. So it's like, well, this person is boring. Kind of takes the passion out of it. Anyways, point being, some people, at least initially, kind of really enjoy that because it's like spontaneous and, oh, that's what I really think too. And then over time, it kind of grates on them, right? Like it's happening with a lot of Republicans right now. They kind of get sick of the constant drama. And then you add on top of that the freaking the news cycle and the algorithms and shit. Ugh. But that's a whole thing that we've gotten into before. Although, oh hey, you know, but let's talk about that. It's gotten awfully slow now after all this, hasn't it? I think that maybe we could get another push-up though. So did you guys see this story about on YouTube? This guy made a YouTube video saying that there was like a network of pedophiles on YouTube, and YouTube wasn't doing anything about it. And then a bunch of advertisers, this part really surprised me, was when a bunch of advertisers like Disney came out and said that they were pulling their ads from the platform because this was happening. Yeah, have you seen that? Yeah, let me tell you something, guys. We have given algorithms too much power in our society. Straight up, we've given algorithms too much power in our society. Algorithms can do a good thing, but they have a fundamental flaw in the algorithms. And here's the fundamental flaw. The algorithms are not designed for our benefit. The algorithms are designed to make a company money and are designed primarily to, almost to create like addiction in people almost to an extent, if that makes sense. Not as much being absorbed here at 01 as I would have thought. Anyways. So you have these algorithms going out, and the purpose, they never sat and thought, okay, if we have an algorithm that does X, how is that going to affect society at large, right? They didn't sit and think, the way that we choose to select content for you, the recommendations that we make for content are going to affect, like these kids, they watch so much YouTube, man. My kids watch so much YouTube, right? And they don't talk to each other and are like, hey, this guy has a really good channel, you should watch it. They don't subscribe to channels. They watch recommended videos, right? So in reality, the YouTube algorithm has become one of the most dominant influences in our society, right? And that algorithm was not determined with the good of American society in mind. It doesn't cross an engineer's mind when they're writing these things, right? The only thing that crosses their mind is what is going to get the most hits. We've given algorithms too much power. And what has happened in this instance with YouTube is the algorithm has gone awry, right? Kids are watching YouTube, and kids watch other kids often. And they create this network essentially, right? The kids are watching the other kids, and not only that, but some of the kids, they're like 12-year-olds. Okay, between 12 and 16 is kind of when they're first starting to get their interest in things, in things of a sexual nature and stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me that there'd be a lot of little kids watching videos of girls their age that are really kind of dumb. They would seem really dumb to us, right? But they create this network. And then you have a guy that's a pedophile. He comes in, he watches one of these videos, and YouTube thinks they're a kid. That's what's happening. It's created like a vortex. this awful vortex. And YouTube doesn't care. Like, to them, it's just that's what the algorithm suggested to people, or something like that. That's not, they only care about it until somebody makes a big deal out of it. and then what's going to happen is you're just going to get some other section that's going to have a problem. And yeah, I think it's funny how on edge advertisers are. Like, anything is going to make people stop consuming. Right. Yeah, that's a funny. I'm sure they make the big deal out of things and look like a hero, and then 2 months from now they quietly start showing advertisements again when nobody cares. Fib Futures thinks that Trump is a sociopath. I'm not so sure I buy that. So I know that people have said that a lot about Donald Trump, that he's a sociopath. The way that I look at it, all politicians are sociopaths. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they truly have like a personality disorder or anything like that, but rather that's the way that the game is played. You have to have a little bit of sociopathy in it. So I don't think that Trump is necessarily a sociopath. I think that he's just playing the politics game very effectively. But more so than that, I would argue that he doesn't appear to me to be a sociopath, because hey, that one worked out really well. I'm happy. No, it's 7:30. I should have. Okay, hold on. I need to focus here for a second. The Treasuries are hovering right here around 01, which was the price before that we ranged at for quite some time, and it is also the midpoint of the opening range. The JPY has pulled back a little bit and is consolidating. Maybe it will continue higher later. I don't know. The E-mini is opening. It came down a little bit, but it's holding, and we'll see where it goes. But they may try selling. Let's see where the thing is. Anyways, Yeah, see, he's rolling his eyes at me. So, anyways, the key thing with sociopathy is an inability to read other people's emotions, right? They it's like a complete lack of empathy. And if you watch Donald Trump in his speeches, when he brings people up on stage, in his personal interactions, in the friendships that he's had with people that are long-standing, just as an example, he will just call Brady on, or many people that he considers like to be his friends. He'll just call them up. You just call them up out of the blue and see how they're doing and just talk. Okay, that is not the action of a sociopath. Based on that alone, I do not believe that Donald Trump is like actually has like a clinically diagnosable sociopath personality disorder. I think that that's mostly a kind of like a media overplayed sort of a thing. But then also that like what? He's an effective politician. Any effective politician's actions are going to look like a sociopath to the person that is losing. Digital Shot is saying potential last trade of the day, and he went long at 015. So the initial swing in the E-mini was down. So I think that I can try and take this long again at 01. Yeah. See, that's getting filled too easily, and they're buying it up a lot at 010 as well. You see that? And they're willing to buy a lot there. It's like Adpocalypse 1.0. It was all about white nationalists and hate content, yeah, and they buy shit too. Was so Adpocalypse 1 was when they started, you know, was since Donald Trump has been president then? Because when I first heard that term was yesterday, and I thought they were talking about something that happened a long, long time ago. I do find it interesting that YouTube is basically not finding or paying attention to what essentially looks like pedophiles on their network. But they do care to like kill InfoWars, for instance. You know what I mean? Why are they so interested in killing the political content on their platform? They shouldn't care. Super troubling to me. Yeah, a couple of years ago, if you're balls deep in social political commentary channels on YouTube, you would have noticed it. Yeah, I definitely noticed, you know, when they were demonetizing people and stuff like that. And that was a part of one of the when I first became aware of Patreon, for instance. I just didn't know that they called that the adpocalypse. That's all. Hmm. Okay, so I'm seeing a decent amount being stacked there at 01 now. And the E-mini continues to sell, but it's not really breaking the low there. Gold rebounds after support stalled the fall. I don't know. I don't think that YouTube in the long run is completely sustainable. They're trying to funnel the audience to CNN, Fox, MSNBC. They don't want randoms covering news because they can't control narratives. There's somebody out there that doesn't like that for sure. Probably mostly CNN, Fox, MSNBC, etc. Right? Algo's not sure if this is optimistic. U.S.-China trade talks positive, but still no clarity from Beijing on intellectual property, technology transfer, structural changes. USDA official. Okay. That's why if you type Trump into the search bar, you only get little watched mainstream media videos. Yeah, that definitely was not true when Donald Trump got elected, was it? You put Trump into there, you get all sorts of crazy shit, right? Part of that, though, is just that it becomes a popular search term, and bigger players with more resources start to try and take over the search term. I don't think that originally that people in politics thought of YouTube as a place to, okay, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, Digital Shot took a stop on that one, huh? So that bid is not. See, Digital Shot took a decent on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but then a -6 on Friday. Yeah. Then there was no Monday, right? Okay, 26, that's a little better. No one cared with what Facebook did with our data until Cambridge Analytica. Everything had to change because we elected somebody who wasn't supposed to win. I don't even know if it was like a globalist thing. I think it was a Republican thing. You know what I mean? Like if Mitt Romney had become president because of a viral social media, I think that you would be seeing the same thing. And it didn't help that countries literally are trying to actively influence um, political opinion in the United States. These trades is going short here. Okay, well, I did see the tick up. Man. So that one down 2 ticks. So it wouldn't have stopped me out, but that right there is like exactly the kind of shit that happens on Fridays that I hate. Because it'll go like literally right to your stop. And then it'll go up and it'll be like some huge move up. New Jersey bill would ban Trump from the ballot. Yeah, that was from yesterday. Okay, so there was a little bit of buying it on one half, but now it's kind of sitting here and it's unclear. Been in this for 6 minutes. Shit's been happening since social media has been a thing. No one cared until Trump won. Yeah, but like I'm saying, it's not. I don't think that it was because Donald Trump was anti-establishment. As an example, nobody gave a fuck when I need to stop swearing. That's gonna get me in trouble. Especially here, we're talking about exactly the sort of thing. Because I'm sitting here every time this stuff happens, I'm sitting here like, if I was actually popular, I think that YouTube might have a little bit of a problem with it. You know what I mean? If I was like popular enough to make a living off of this and just make videos all day, I think that the kind of content, if I started posting more political content and stuff like that, I think they would try and get rid of me. I really do. Anyways, so here I am swearing and giving people perfect reasons to hate me. Um, when Ron Paul was a thing, that was very much driven by social media. Nobody cared. That's as anti-establishment as it gets. And everybody kind of, I felt like everybody kind of just laughed at it. Like it was annoying, but everybody just kind of laughed at it back in the dig days. It was because he didn't win. But it's I don't think that it's because he's an establishment person. You know, they put plenty of hits on Mitt Romney. I think that it's because the people that run these technology companies are mostly millennials, liberal millennials, right? So what's been happening is liberal politics dominates social media. It really does. Especially when you look at social news like Reddit. Okay, Reddit is so drastically dominated by liberals, far more than the actual demographics of Reddit would justify, right? Far more than the actual demographics of Reddit justify. Um, and so when there was a lot of manipulation, for instance, the Huffington Post only became a thing because they posted a trillion things to Reddit, or sorry, to Dig, and they were manipulating the Dig algorithm, like straight up manipulating it. And that's how Huffington Post became a household name, right? And but because it was a liberal thing, all of the liberals just kind of looked the other way. Now that a Republican is taking advantage of it, all of a sudden it's a problem. All of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a problem. Now the problem is they realize that people can manipulate these things, but their problem is they're not saying, well, we need to make it so that people can't manipulate social media anymore, which means that we need to do more things to the platform to be able to root these sorts of things out. No, it's just we need to make sure that only Democrats can manipulate social media. You noticed that? Because it's always like the Russians, right? Like if you post anything anti if you post anything Republican, it's the Russians are manipulating Reddit, right? It's ridiculous. There is your 3 points. You're welcome. Yeah, Ace Trades, that was a really good trade. I'm okay. So there's my spot right there. Crap, I was a little bit too slow. Crap, I hope I get filled. I wonder if it's going to go down for another one. Kind of the E-mini recovered that really quickly, didn't it? Hmm. Yeah, it really recovered. They're already back to your entry. I wonder, how common is that in the E-mini? You catch a really, really great trade like that, and then it immediately comes almost completely back. Do you find that happens a lot, Ace? Do you like if you were to do a statistical analysis and say, how often do I wish that I had kept the trade on versus how often I'm grateful that I just took the quick 2 ticks profit? Like what is the ratio of that? It seems like the E-mini is just very, yeah, what's the word? It likes to come back on you. Like when it runs, but what it very often does is it makes it look like it's running and then it just immediately flips around. Well, I'm mad that I'm not filled yet. I'm not holding a strong offer at O2. I think I still have a good chance of getting filled. At 2,000, that's good. Almost 3 there. That's interesting. Is that Origin making that sound? It don't make any sense why it would make that particular sound. Okay. Yeah, so I like it that they're now, the bid is stronger. Good. I'm not going to count out the possibility that it goes up and makes a new high, but I'm trying to take the smaller ones, and so I only wanted to take it where somebody shot back. So when they sold at O2 half and made a go offer and put up a good offer, that was when I knew that I needed to get out. And it did it twice, so like that was my exit. I was a little bit slow because I was yapping. Okay, well I'm happy with that. That cancels out my tilting from yesterday. Not all of it, but like the part that was tilting. You know what I mean? And I did not expect to do well in it as a Friday. They might go for more. They might go to the high of the day, but I don't think that like I just want to take that range that was there, essentially. Unless I'm seeing like something in the JPY or something like that. I'm wondering if maybe they will come back down to 01 again. I guess that would be unlikely because there was a low pivot there at 215. They're gonna make me regret it. They're going to. He watches. I'm telling you, there's 15 people. Got about 5 of you that are regular speakers, and about 10 of you that watch every day but just lurk, which is totally cool. But I'm telling you, one of you, I don't know who it is, but one of you is some super big. You have like huge balls, and you're a market maker at like some firm or something like that, and you're like, oh, okay. Seth did good today. He got a profit. So now that means that I have to like really run it up and make him regret taking that profit. Telling you, he's doing it. He's there. His name is Tyler. That's what we call him. snapshots near the opening showing decent gains. That's not kind of how it felt when they were selling there. Pretty overall, a lot of markets selling in the E-mini, but they did hold those levels. I find that very significant. That does make it hard for me to predict what's actually going to happen. Almost 8 o'clock, so we could get another trade coming out in here. Wondering if it's going to be a reversal though. Wouldn't really make much sense. Because if for us to do a reversal, we'd have to go all the way back down to where we were yesterday, which I, as you recall, thought was ridiculous. It's really icy in Salt Lake. By the way, are you guys out east getting a ton of snow still? Because I watch these storms come over here, and they're always worse when they get out east. And the storm that we're having right now is gross. It's up like basically like it's not really snowing, but the wind is so bad. I'm very miserable. Would have been nice if that trend up had been a little bit cleaner, but somebody's going to take it there. I think that's the wisest place to take it off. It never snows where I am. Oh, that's right. You live in Florida, right? I don't remember. Now I feel bad for not remembering. And that's what I need to do. I need to just get on a plane. My wife's a flight attendant, so we just need to get on a plane and go to Florida. Because I'm not happy about the way it is here right now. Oh my gosh. But that reminds me though, because I'm thinking, oh, okay, we go, but I would need to tell my parents to take care of the birds, right? Okay. So I come home yesterday, and the back door was open. And I think, I specifically remembered, okay, I gotta make sure that I close the back door and lock it. I remember doing that before I left yesterday, but I must have not done it because the door was open. You know? And I don't know if it had been open all day or what. I would have thought that if it had been open all day, they would be really cold inside, but it was still like 50, 60 degrees in the house. So maybe it had just only recently blown open or whatever. But the birds are right there next to that door. I don't know. They seem fine. They seem fine to me, but it was so scary. So scary. Are you sure you didn't get robbed? I mean, I don't see anything missing. If I got robbed, they took the wrong stuff. I don't really have anything valuable. Anyways, yeah. I'm pretty sure that I probably just left the back door open. Or it doesn't close all the way. Like you really, to make the latch actually click in, you really gotta slam the door, essentially. And then make sure you lock it. That's why I was I gotta make sure I lock it, because then if you lock it, then you know that it's gonna stay closed, right? I opened up. I felt so dumb. And then, add on top of that I just didn't have a very good trading day yesterday. And work has just been stressful. So I got this thing going on where we're testing the performance of a new system. And there appears to be some problems with the system, and there's some problems with testing the system. And the people that built it aren't being very helpful right now. And so I'm really stressed out about giving effective test results so that if this thing ever blows up, we're not getting the blame for it failing because we didn't test it well enough or something, And I think everybody is already kind of like on edge because of this project. And they've, the managers have kind of like been put up front and center on it, and so it's been really stressful. So yeah, all of those things, and then the wind. I couldn't fall asleep like yesterday. Just sucked. So for me to have an okay day today, that's good. Although, so this has been a weird thing, but like to talk about trading. Oh, the only thing I care about if I were robbed is my computer and my dog. Still, whatever you want, leave the computer and close the door before you go. Yeah. If somebody stole my computer, I would be super upset. So I when I bought that computer, I wanted that case. It's a what do they call it? A Be Quiet computer case. Hey, Lucas. And I bought it because I wanted because I had made videos before I had done this stuff. Like I had made videos about it was just like, I don't see anybody has a video out there about X, so I'll just make that thing. And I had a couple of random videos that actually did really, really well. And but there was always like the sound of the fan in the background. I hated that. So I'm like, I'm gonna get this Be Quiet case because that thing is like the best cooling and quiet fans of whatever. I took that one and it's a great case. And if somebody stole my computer, I don't know if I would be able to afford spending that much on a case because I think it was like $300 for the case. So I would be really sad if somebody stole my computer just because of that. Oh wait, Donald Trump's tweeting something. Desperate farce. No evidence has been presented after years of investigation by organizations with massive resources and contacts. FBI, U.S. intelligence apparatus, huge networks and media, Democrat Party, Hillary's campaign, U.S. Congress, and a once-in-a-decade special prosecutor. The year 2038 update. We should see evidence of Russia-Trump collusion any day now. That's funny. Okay. Lucas saying clever move taking a one-tick loss and turning around at the top. Yeah, thank you. It was earlier in the week where I had done something like, I had said that I should have done that and I didn't. You remember that? And today I did it and it worked out for me. So that's not a final conclusion, but it does seem like I have an okay read sometimes for when it's going to stop and you can take a tick or two out of it. In fact, I'm thinking, let's pull the chart over here. Here's the problem. That yesterday is a great example too. I'm going to make this like, let's make, I don't want to mess with the size of it because then I always have a hard time fixing it. But let's zoom in a little bit and go to yesterday's action. Okay, so yesterday's action, we had news came out. Well, so first of all, they were selling really aggressively into the open. And then the news contradicted that. And so the trade that I took was trying to take the long from the news. And I actually got an okay price from it. But it never went, and eventually we moved down and we came down here. Okay. So when you look at the cumulative delta, it's kind of like, especially through here, it's just kind of like flat. And so they tested this. I mean, this took forever, right? Like, look, like right here, when I move out, that was like when I had to leave. It's like 9 o'clock, right? 9 o'clock, then I left. I have to figure a way to jump when the market is moving higher like it did at the open. Then I always feel like I'm buying at the point where they might turn around. I know, right? Okay, so there's a thought about that too, though, but in a second. Anyways, I've noticed that in the kind of action that I have a really hard time in, you tend to get this a lot. And that's why I've started to focus a lot more. By the way, did they make a new high there? It looks like they did. And they definitely did in CB. That's unfortunate. Anyways, the problem is I'm always looking for kind of a swing. It's like I want to take it from here and want it to come out to here. And I'm only taking it off here if, whatever. But what I did today was I said, okay, I came down to here. I think that it should go further. It didn't. I'm going to reverse and it's going to form a range here. So I'm going to reverse and just take a few across the range, and that's what I did. I took it 3 times across that range. For of course, it was over here today. Yes, right here. So when it did that, I took it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And I think that is the way that I want to try and play it here for the next, until September. And a lot of this, like in the summer, that might mean a lot of like 1 tick. Or no trade at all, of course. So anyways, a way to jump when the market is moving out higher. So that's kind of where I have an indicator. And we're still kind of working on it. But what you do with that one is you say, I think I want to go long. Or maybe, yeah, sure. You go on the open. It's the open. And you think, I think they're going to take it long. So you tell the indicator, I'm looking for longs. And then when it gets an impulse that shows a significant enough change that could result in more upside, it will enter for you. And so it's really good at catching those spots where you're thinking, maybe like if you're thinking of it's going to reverse here, maybe. I don't think it's going to reverse, but you can kind of see there's a possibility for it, right? Maybe if O3 goes off her, maybe I could sell it. And I might get filled. And then I could maybe take 2 or 3 off of that, right? And then what happens? They sell it there. And you're like, oh, okay. It did something. Okay, I guess I should take it. Click. And by that point, your opportunity to get filled on the limit is passed, right? So if you have the program that just does it for you, it looks like it's been pretty effective. John has been testing it this week, and it looks like it's been pretty effective way of doing it. So I kind of like this idea. I'm not sure if it would be more effective than just doing it by hand, but I guess that a lot of that is just that you've got to anticipate it. Like for me, if like on the open, if I get a really strong move like that I'm not anticipating, I've really got to see something that really makes me think that it's going to continue. And if it doesn't immediately continue, I'm going to get out and reverse like I did. Because exactly that reason, right? It's like if I'm not expecting it, I don't see news. That means I don't understand why it's moving, right? You can't just FOMO into something because it's moving. Because at that point, where's your edge? You have a negative edge in that situation simply because you didn't expect it to move, right? That's my take on it. So sometimes it just goes and you just kind of have to sit and watch it, I guess. Because those FOMO trades will really screw you over. And the other thing is that if we really are going into the kind of market that I think we're going to, and really today's action really seems like it is, it's like you will get maybe one move for the day. Like maybe one good run. And we had a good run up here. And then we had a pull back in. And it's kind of been range bound since then. And it's been relatively slow this whole time. Honestly, the E-mini has kind of been going sideways. Well, actually, they kind of are making a push for the highs. I'm wondering if the treasuries might come back a little bit if the E-mini decides to buy into the Friday. But anyways, it's still like we're forming a zipper up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if it comes back down and it trades this 30 again, that's an 11 tick zipper, and that would be a signal short, except for that it's on the extremes. I don't take them on the extremes. But it's almost going to give you an 11 tick zipper. And remember that the whole thing with the 11 tick zipper is that that's like it's been so range bound that they have to reverse. Right? So this isn't very good action. This is the kind of the action that I think that we might start to have a lot more of, because we've gone from the period of a lot of volatility in interest rates to not very much volatility in interest rates. Like overall, I think open interest is going to decrease a little bit. And so you're more likely to see a counter trend trade because people are closing trades. 1 dead, 15 injured as Venezuelan soldiers open fire on civilian near Brazil border. Just the international community is not going to like that. I wonder if the Trump administration will respond to that. I'm reading the feed from my local news, and the traffic does not sound happy. Northbound I-15 at 2000 South Salt Lake County, left 2 lanes closed. Yeah. The International Socialists. They did. I saw that was something really funny yesterday on Reddit. The subreddit r/socialism decided to do a survey of their people. And the vast majority of them were kids with no jobs. Like it was literally like 80% or something like that had no jobs or something. I was totally shocked. Like, it's almost like parody, when parody becomes reality. It was pretty funny. Well, they did push a new high. 04 is a new high. So that's exactly why I don't like to trade the 11 tick zipper setup at a higher. Right against a higher low. Always nice to be a socialist when you don't generate wealth. Yeah. It really is. I don't know. Like, the thing that I think is interesting about it, we always talk about how socialism, really, the real problem with it is that people don't really have much of an incentive to work hard anymore. And so you don't have very much growth in socialist country, or like straight up communist country, right? Socialists are kind of more like now, like will use a little bit of capitalism to keep things going, but it's only kind of just running underneath, like we're going to power our socialism with capitalism. That's kind of the take that they've been doing it as of late, right? The problem is with socialism that I see now has more to do with the way that things are run. They're always mismanaged things. They always create imbalances in the market, because socialism is basically like, how do I paint this? I want to make a video on this. So I'll just give you like the rundown right now. Like let's take for instance green energy. Okay, a lot of people feel that investing in green energy is important. Okay, some people in Congress think that it is so important that they want to allocate taxpayer funds to funding investment in green energy. So here's the problem that I have with that. If green energy is so effective and really is like the only way that we can possibly save the planet, then why aren't people investing in it on their own? Why not? Seems to me that green energy is not as effective. Damn. Okay, there's block buy. I mean, maybe I should have kept that. I kind of said I only want to take the range and maybe it'll go. And then, oh man, it's funny because I said, I would like to see them come back to 01, but it doesn't look like they're going to do it. And now, of course, it's just running. And I can see that JPY is making new highs as well. So we're just going to have to sit by and watch. Anyways, green energy isn't doing so well because it's not very competitive right now. It's a lot more expensive, and who knows how much time and research you're going to have to put into those technologies for them to actually be here. You ain't the only one who cut out too early. So I'm sorry, Uzi. Hey, look, but better a profit than not, at least. There was a before that breakout, there was some delta imbalances there that said that we're going to go up a little bit. So, went back before when it was there was no way. Like really, let's really think about it. We're back here. You see that, right? One tick lower than the high and it's moving lower and you get filled. Absolutely no way that we could know that if we were going to reverse or not. And not only that, but the E-mini has not been super bearish, right? So not the E-mini that's pushing us up, it's the Japanese yen. And the Japanese yen, it stopped. In fact, it may yet still turn around, right? So we did the right thing. I think from a scalping perspective, maybe if you were making a swing and you had some longer thing, you could maybe say that that Japanese yen is going to go up here and break this high or something like that. But that's not what I don't think any of us were saying. So to have taken it from here to here, essentially, it's a good trade. That's the right thing. You might even be able to sell it here. But it's like 813. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Okay, anyways, to what I was saying. If green energy is really such a great investment, then go and put your own money into it, right? Like right now, people don't think that investors don't see enough efficiency in it. And it's not very cheap compared to other energy sources, and there's not very much demand right now, and it just doesn't make economic sense right now for most investors. That's why, like, if you look at the indexes, that those indexes underperform the larger S&P 500. They do, right? If green energy truly is like the future, like this is how we save the planet, and without this green energy initiative, like we can't save the planet, then that is the best fucking investment of all time. And when I say that, I mean like you should be able to make more money from that, because right now the market doesn't see it that way, right? The market doesn't see it that way, and you could take it today and you could be so rich. Like it would be the best domestic trend trade of all time, right? But investors aren't seeing it. This is the problem with socialism. Socialism is essentially saying we need to do something because the free market won't do it for us, right? Which means that you have to acknowledge that all of the things that you want to do are not good for the economy. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Socialism is inherently inefficient by its very nature. When we're saying like they've basically admitted now to this point, socialism can't even generate value on its own. It has to leech off of capitalism, and you have to acknowledge then at that point that you're putting money into a hole. You're saying, well, maybe it's social good, but it's not economic good, right? That's why you have what happens in places like Venezuela. And when the problem is that you get too much socialism in there, it does affect the economy. And when it affects the economy, do the socialists say, oh, okay, I guess we hit the limit now, we need to back off? No. Feds Williams, Phillips curve is alive and kicking. Okay. Wonder if that's part of what drove us there. Anyways, they don't just sit down and say, hey, this is the limit, like this is the maximum amount of socialism that we have. No. These guys that push this, they really just want the whole thing to be communism if they could get it. Really, realistically. So they always push. And so when it stops working, they don't just back off and say, okay, well, we need to fix things or we need to change things. No. They got to keep it going. So how do they keep it going? They start borrowing money. When they run out of your money, they're going to borrow against your children's money and their children's money. And that's why you get all of the debt. And that's why all of the Western world now has massive levels of debt, of the United States in particular, because the United States is not only paying for all of its domestic programs that appear to be having some real problems. Okay, so that's a little bit of a sell there in the E-mini that might be significant. But then we're also paying for everybody's military needs. Do you think that a mixed economy might be a good compromise? I mean, I would be opposed to the idea of like a mixed economy. Now, that does not mean that I think that all socialist programs are bad, right? Like, I think that Social Security is a good program, right? Social Security is essentially forcing everybody to participate in a pension fund, and that fund performs better than any kind of private pension fund. Granted, you can find like edge cases where over a certain period it would overperform, but when you look at like, over the course of your 40 years of your working life, you're not going to get better by doing a private pension. All these people that think that we should get rid of Social Security and replace it with private stuff, I think that they're crazy. Well, not that they're crazy, it's a poor investment decision. Because you're either A, you're not going to get as good of an investment because you're not going to get better through a pension, or B, you're going to be taking on a lot more risk, right? And so maybe you do make more because you put it all into stocks. But if you screw it up and you end up retiring right at the end of a recession, then you're going to be homeless, essentially. Feds Williams says Phillips curve linking inflation to employment is alive and kicking. Okay, that was just an expansion on the earlier one. Anyways, yeah. That is a program that is effective, right? Medicine, probably that is something that needs to have a little bit of both things. I think that having a free market in healthcare has led to a lot of great advances in medical science, right? But because of the way that system is set up right now, It is not really a balanced free market, really, is it? Like if a law was passed that said that a hospital must charge all patients the same price for the same service, regardless, right? That would change things. Because right now, what they do is they say, okay, the price is $5,000, but if you go through this healthcare, then we will discount it this much. And they make a deal with the insurance company, right? And so now the price is inflated. And if you don't happen to be part of that insurance company, then you get screwed, right? Or you have a situation like it is in Medicare where the government decides what to pay for it and they end up paying too much. So I think that's a better free market would be appropriate in Medicare, in healthcare, but there needs to be some government regulations come in, and there probably needs to be some degree of social, some degree of Medicare of some sort for people that are too poor to afford their own healthcare, right? So there needs to be balance to it. But I don't think that the economy itself should be mixed. It's just there's a certain number of programs that we should do, and programs that are effective and actually save people money, like pension. Sorry, what is the word? Yeah, Social Security, rather. The ones that are good we should keep, and the other ones we should get rid of. And we shouldn't be creating new programs unless A, we have the money to spend on them already saved up, and B, we have well proven experience, and preferably even states where that's already been tried that prove that it works. So let's just talk about healthcare. People want us to have a national, like the Democrats want to have a national healthcare system like Canada does. Why should we do that when you can't even get a state like the most liberal states can't even pass that and make it work? Why should we be doing it at a federal level? Until a state has done it and they've done it successfully for like 10 years, I don't think it should even be on the table. Okay, there's a press release from Williams' remarks at the U.S. Monetary Policy Forum. In E-mini, even though there has been some pretty strong sells, the E-mini has still been pushing higher. So yeah, mixed being a market economy and some sort of social safety net, sure. I mean, I think that social safety nets can be a useful thing, right? Like Social Security is a good example of a case where you really can create something that's sustainable and will help people at the end of their lives. Because before Social Security, it was like the homeless people. Well, a lot of homeless people were they were old and they couldn't work anymore. That was bad, and it actually cost the U.S. economy because of having to take care of that problem, right? So a safety net is good in many cases, but I'm afraid right now that they spend too much on social safety net, or that they're doing programs that aren't very effective. Yeah, I feel socialists go way too crazy about government support about everything, and they're not rational at all. That's where they are wrong, way too far. Yeah, well, it's not that they're not rational, it's that they aren't forced to adhere to any kind of market, incentives or balance. There's nothing to balance it. So it's just always like, we need a new social program. We need to provide more things for people. We need to spend more money and have more power. And it just never stops. And then you get Russia, essentially, right? If there was a balance, right? For instance, if there was a balanced budget amendment, right? that said that our year-on-year expenses can never be more than our revenue for, or our projected revenue at least. I mean, I guess you have to kind of predict it a year in advance, or you use the previous year's balance, right? Okay, this year's spending cannot be more than the previous year's revenue, unless we're in a time of war, right? Now there's a limit. Socialists, if they want more social programs, they're going to have to make the existing programs that they already have more effective and more efficient to free up money for those other things. Or we're going to have to generate more capital to get those other things, right? That would be one way to do it. But the way that it is right now, it's just like, oh, as long as we can vote in something new, it doesn't really matter. Anything that gives us more power. How I look at it. Okay, well, I mean, we are up here at the highs and we are holding this pretty well. So it's kind of like if you were going to buy it, it's not really giving you anything better than 035. Did any of you guys take another trade after that, or have you all been relaxing here with me? Wandering way too far, yeah. I'm just not. So the Japanese yen did peak and come back again. And so I kind of feel like, based off of that, sorry, we'll go over here. I feel they are irrational in the same way that AOC is. She just wants full-on socialism while driving away businesses like Amazon. Yeah, totally. Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the people in the Democrat Party really do want Venezuelan-style socialism. Like, where do you take the wealth from then? Yeah. Because they don't believe that socialism drains wealth. It's not. It's more than that. It's like when we say trade the market that you see. You know, the market says these things are profitable. These things aren't. Socialists don't see it that way. They think I should be able to do all of the things that the market says is bad and will still be profitable. And that's what Venezuela did. And how did it turn out for them? Yeah, they're disconnected with reality. But part of that is because they're not involved in the market and they don't see that. You know? Put Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on a dom for 3 years. Make her put her own money on the line, buy and sell. You know, she makes money, she loses money, she loses money. To have a very different opinion of things then, because then she would say, you know what? Maybe if the free market isn't really buying into this Green New Deal thing, then maybe it's really not a good idea, or maybe I really need to rethink it. And then if she still thinks that it's a really good idea, she can put her own money behind it. That's the thing that irks me the most, is like, if that's really how you feel, put your money where your mouth is and you fund it. You invest in green energy. Don't waste my money with it. Don't invest with my money. Yeah? Right? They would have a very different view of things. But because they've never actually had to directly deal with the markets, I think that, yeah. Anyways, so I'm just looking at this cumulative delta here in the Japanese yen, and it looks like it's come back pretty much almost to the lows of the session. So it looks to me like those traders think that it's done. And it pushed higher, but I'm still getting kind of like this wide range area, you know? Like, it's still thick. It's still thick. So that makes me believe that although we may hold these levels for a long time, it's probably more likely to distribute around here than it is to make a really strong push higher, unless some sort of piece of news comes out that pushes it higher, or the Japanese yen makes another breakout. So I'm definitely not going to stick around for the other 30 minutes, and especially since traffic sounds like it's super bad. Yes, it is. Still looks pretty bad. So, when you miss the inflation target for 6 years running with little hope of hitting it through 2021, who exactly is being held accountable? ECB's Villeroy Precise Focus mandate makes ECB more accountable. Some of the opinion comments that the squawks make, I think, are really interesting. I hope you guys find the little comments that I make as a squawk interesting. I enjoy the conversations that we have. I thought we had a really good conversation. We had 3 or 4 really good conversations today. And we'll have more. I've got, should have another video this weekend for primary analysis. The Democratic primary analysis. There was a lot of stuff about Kamala Harris this week, so that gives us a little bit clearer of a view of where things are. I think she's probably is the front runner right now. Anyway, so I'll have that. And so if you guys like talking about the politics, make sure you go on, watch those videos and comment what you guys think. Did my trade here working out? No change. It's still at 75. Jeez. It was actually at 80% at one point. Can you believe that? It's seeing a little bit more volume. I'm just still surprised that so many people think Beto is going to run. I honestly think that he would have they're pricing Beto O'Rourke having the same chance of running as Joe Biden. That's not, no way. It would be a colossal error not to run. No, he's not going to win, and he has more of a chance of embarrassing himself on the stage with bigger politicians than anything. It would be to his advantage to not run and run for Senate. He's also not taking VP off the table. I'm not actually seeing that much interest in this particular market, though. So, yeah. Anyways. So that's where that's at. All right, so I'm going to write up my notes. Good. I'm happy with today. All right. Okay. Let's see, you got anything else? Oh, Ace is taking another short at 27.85, huh? Yep, I will see you guys next week, Lucas. I got about 5 minutes. I'm going to just sit here and see if the I want to see how this goes in the E-mini. I'm not quite sure I see this one. Although it has been moving sideways quite a bit, hasn't it? And the range is decreasing. So we could get a volatility breakout. Lisbon's ESPC Vilroy, we need to assess the extent to which the recent slowdown and drop in inflation are temporary. Managed trade deal with Europe will hurt Europe more than anyone. FX Macro's comment on this is either the euro goes lower or they will be doing QQQE before the end of the year. I hope not. I would really just like everything to just, be hunky, go great and new highs and all this stuff. If downturn persists, ECB stands ready to change guidance. Of course. Of course. I think it's kind of funny that the central bank people even have to say some of these things. Oh, so, if the economy starts to go down, then we will adjust our monetary policy. You mean you will actually do what the Federal Reserve has done for the past 100 years? Like, good grief, people. Like, why do they have to say that? Generates a signal in the markets? I don't know. It's just the whole thing is kind of dumb. U.S. will keep 200 troops in Syria indefinitely. Okay, sure. Sure. Okay, I'm kind of seeing something there in the E-mini. It's kind of hard to say in the ES because there's always so much noise. But there has been a couple of strong downticks there. But then the E-mini ticks back down. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes. Gradual normalization of ECB policy still desirable. Oh, I thought you guys wanted to keep interest rates low forever. And just borrow money forever. I'm being really bitter and cynical today, aren't I? I shouldn't be like this. I mean, I had a profitable day, didn't I? I just feel like an asshole. I don't know. I'm holding a decent offer there, 03 half as well. Keeping agriculture out of any EU-US trade deal is an absolute red line for French presidency source RTRS. Why are they talking about EU trade so much today? because they're about to finish a deal with China, and Europe is next. Hmm. Don't see anything. Okay, there's a little bit of a move up in the mini. Only a point up above 27.85, so. Florida Democrats upset Bernie Sanders refused to condemn Venezuelan dictator. Really? He did that? Harris and Warren endorsing reparations. Okay, they ticked back up. Now, I think that this might take too long, and I kind of want to go. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll be back on Monday, and I'm still in the Discord, checking it out. You can always send me a private message if you have questions. You want to play Apex Legends? That would be fun. Otherwise, I will see you on Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.